She stood there, in her pink blazer, hands on her hips, blocking my truck like she owned the dirt under my tires. "You can't go in there anymore," she yelled. "This is HOA property now." I looked past her, at the road I had built myself last summer. Every inch of that pavement was paid for from my savings. My crops lined both sides, golden in the sun, the barn at the end standing proud. And now, out of nowhere, there was a shiny black gate across the entrance, with a bold HOA sign on it. "What do you mean, your property?" I asked, stepping out of the truck. She smirked like she'd been waiting for this moment. "The board voted. Since your road connects through our community, it's under HOA management now. We've decided to protect our area." Protect? They weren't protecting anything. They were stealing. Behind her, two men in fake-looking security jackets leaned against a car marked HOA Patrol. They looked more like mall guards than cops, but they sure acted tough. One of them crossed his arms and said, "Sir, you need to turn around." I chuckled under my breath. "Turn around? You're standing on my road." Karen's smile vanished. "That's not true. We have documents. You're trespassing." My hands tightened on the steering wheel as I walked back to the truck, pretending to comply. Inside, my phone started recording. I had a feeling I'd need proof. "Ma'am," I said through the open window, "when you installed this gate, did you even check who owned this land?" She hesitated, just for a second. That tiny flicker of uncertainty told me everything. "I'll give you one warning," I said calmly, rolling up my sleeve so she could see the old army tattoo on my arm. "You're messing with the wrong guy." Karen scoffed. "Oh, please, don't act like you're special." But I didn't answer. I just looked past her at the gate she was so proud of. I knew something she didn't. I had installed motion cameras on that road 2 weeks before. Every dig, every post they planted, every bolt they drilled, it was all on video. I smiled quietly and whispered, "This gate can't stop me." Because soon she was going to wish she'd never touched my land. The next morning, I came back before sunrise. Mist still hung over the fields, and the new metal gate gleamed like it was mocking me. They'd even installed a keypad, like I needed permission to enter my own farm. As I parked near the edge of the road, I noticed something strange. Fresh tire marks. Someone had been here late at night. My motion cameras confirmed it a few minutes later. Karen and two men had returned around midnight, carrying a stack of signs. "Private HOA property. No entry without approval." They posted them all over my fence. I clenched my jaw. This wasn't just arrogance, it was fraud. But instead of losing my temper, I decided to play their game, my way. When I walked up to the gate, Karen was already there, sipping coffee from a pink tumbler like she owned the sunrise. "Morning," she said, fake cheerful. "Hope you understand. We just want to keep this area organized." "Organized?" I laughed. "You installed a gate across my driveway and claimed my crops." She shrugged. "You should have attended the HOA meeting." "There's no HOA here," I said, pulling out my phone. "You built one on paper, and last night you trespassed again." Her smile faltered. "You don't have proof." "Oh, I do." I tapped the phone and played the motion footage. There she was, caught on camera, flashlight in hand, hammering posts into the dirt, while her so-called security watched. Karen's face drained of color. The two guards behind her shifted nervously. One muttered, "I told you we shouldn't have." "Quiet," she snapped. "He's bluffing." But she knew I wasn't. Then, right on cue, a county truck pulled up beside me. The driver stepped out. It was Officer Daniels, a local inspector I'd called that morning. "Got your message," he said. "Heard there's a problem with property lines." Karen stiffened. This is HOA jurisdiction, officer. We're handling it. Daniels tilted his head, amused. Funny, according to county records, this land is entirely private. No HOA boundaries here. Karen tried to speak, but Daniels cut her off. And installing a gate without the owner's consent? That's illegal under state property law. Her fake authority cracked in an instant. As the officer took photos of the gate, Karen whispered to her guards, "Don't say a word." But it was too late. Daniels had already radioed the county for verification. I just leaned on my truck and said quietly, "You called the wrong kind of law this time." Her eyes darted from me to the officer, panic rising. For the first time, Karen looked unsure of herself. But I wasn't done yet, because what she didn't know was that I had discovered why she wanted my road so badly. And that truth was going to destroy her. 2 days later, I found out exactly why Karen wanted control of my land, and it hit me harder than I expected. While checking the county's online permit records, I noticed something odd. A new commercial project filed right behind my property line. A private community access road, listed under none other than Karen's HOA Development LLC. They were planning to use my road, the one I built, as their shortcut to the main highway. They hadn't just claimed my crops. They wanted my entire road to boost their property value. That's when everything clicked. The fake HOA signs, the locked gate, even the late-night visits. They weren't protecting anything. They were laying groundwork for a land grab. The next morning, I drove to the gate again. This time, I didn't come alone. My old friend Rick, a retired Marine and now a local contractor, came with me in his pickup. Karen was already there, yelling at a county worker who was measuring the fence line. She turned when she saw me and rolled her eyes. "Oh, you again," she said. "Didn't Officer Daniels explain? This is HOA-managed land now." Rick chuckled under his breath. "Ma'am, the only thing you're managing is a lawsuit waiting to happen." Karen crossed her arms. "You can't talk to me like that. I have authority here." I stepped closer, calm but cold. "No, you don't. You filed fake documents using my road's GPS coordinates. That's called fraud." Her face went pale for a second, just a flicker, but I caught it. Then she recovered, smirking. "Prove it." I nodded toward Rick. He opened his truck and pulled out a folder. "Already did," he said, handing her the printed county maps, timestamps, and her own signature on the fraudulent submission. Karen's smile vanished. She grabbed the papers, scanning them fast, her hands trembling. "Looks like this gate," Rick added, tapping the metal bar with his boot, "is sitting 3 feet inside private property. That means it's our gate now." Karen shouted, "You can't do that. I'll call security." I smirked. "Go ahead, but this time they'll be talking to the sheriff." Before she could pull out her phone, a black SUV rolled up. The window came down. It was Officer Daniels again. He'd received the fraud report I'd filed overnight. "Morning, folks," he said. "Karen, we need to talk about these fake boundary papers." She froze. "That's a misunderstanding." Daniels shook his head. "Save it for the judge. You're coming with me." Her guards looked at each other, unsure whether to intervene. She turned to them, desperate. "Don't just stand there!" But they didn't move. They knew it was over. As Daniels led her to the SUV, she shouted back at me, "You'll regret this. You don't know who you're dealing with." I smiled. Neither did you. The gate stood open as her car drove away. The same gate she thought would stop me. But this wasn't over. I still didn't know who was funding her little development project. And I had a feeling Karen was just the front. That night, I sat in my kitchen, staring at my laptop screen as county emails kept coming in. One of them, marked confidential, had the document I'd been waiting for. The funding records behind HOA Development LLC. And right there, under the list of investors, was a familiar name. Daniel Pierce, the county zoning commissioner himself. I leaned back, stunned. Karen wasn't working alone. She was just a pawn, running interference while Pierce and his buddies tried to grab my road to connect their luxury lake homes. They'd been doing it quietly, faking boundaries, using HOA letters to scare off small owners. I finally understood why Karen acted untouchable. She thought she was protected from the top. The next morning, I met Officer Daniels again at the county office. He looked tired but interested when I showed him the emails. Pierce signed the approval for his own company's project, I said. That's conflict of interest, bribery, and fraud, all in one file. Daniels whistled softly. You're walking into deep water, friend. You sure you want to push this? I nodded. He messed with the wrong farmer. By noon, I drove down to the construction site they'd been hiding behind the woods. A few trucks were parked there, workers moving in silence. One of them recognized me and quickly made a call. Within minutes, a black SUV pulled up. It wasn't Karen this time. It was Pierce himself, wearing his shiny suit and fake smile. Well, Mr. Miller, he said smoothly, I hear there's been a misunderstanding. We'd be happy to compensate you for that little piece of land. I crossed my arms. You mean the one you tried to steal with fake HOA paperwork? His expression stayed calm, but his jaw twitched. I wouldn't use that word. Let's be professional here. Professional? I laughed. You had Karen put up illegal gates, falsify county documents, and call security on me. That's not professional. That's criminal. Pierce's smile faded. You don't have proof that connects me. I took out my phone. Actually, I do. I pressed play on a voice recording from my motion cameras. The one from the night Karen came with her team. In the background, her voice was clear. Mr. Pierce said, once the gate's up, he'll handle the paperwork. His face went white. Before he could speak, a familiar car rolled up again. Officer Daniels stepped out with 2 deputies. He'd been listening through my phone's live stream. Commissioner Pierce, Daniels said, you're under investigation for property fraud, conspiracy, and abuse of authority. Pierce stammered. You can't do this. I'm a public official. Daniels smiled grimly. Exactly why we can. They cuffed him on the spot, right where he'd planned to build his luxury homes. As they drove him away, Karen's words echoed in my head. You don't know who you're dealing with. She was right. I hadn't. But now they knew who they messed with. Still, deep down I felt something wasn't done yet. Because that road, my road, wasn't just pavement. It was proof that a man's land still meant something in this country. And I planned to make sure everyone remembered it.